Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to 11 a.m. session here at the Growth Club, day two. So thanks for coming back. If you were here with us yesterday, hopefully you learned a stack. We covered so many things. And if you've been tuning in this morning, you've covered even more things. We had Jared talking AI. We had Vipul with Ariana talking offshoring, outsourcing. And then we also had Mark Wickersham showing you all how to use ChatGPT as your pricing coach. If you have not checked out those sessions, they've been recorded. So you'll be able to replay those sessions. And just like this one's also been recorded as well. Feel free to jump into the chat and just let me know you can hear and see everything A-OK. That's always a good way to troubleshoot and make sure everything's coming in clearly. I'm going to hand over to Matt in a sec, but for those that have not been with us yet somehow, I'm just going to go through the quick little bit of housekeeping that everyone will be super familiar with. All of our sessions are being recorded and transcribed. We're uploading all of these into vinyl, getting out all the transcriptions, doing a whole bunch of really cool stuff on the back end to then give you heaps of more insight and outputs. Team is working on all of that right now. So you're going to have all that pretty soon. This session has a CPD point available and claimed for it, thanks to the team at AccrediWise. And you do have a chance to win $500. All you have to do is jump on to LinkedIn, tag the firm with the hashtag Growth Club, and that could be this session, whatever your key takeaways from Matt's session today, and you'll go in the draw to win. Yesterday, we've already given out $100 to Neve Campbell, who was very persistent with her posting and did a great job capturing all the moments. So if you'd like a $100 gift card, it's pretty simple. You can jump in and get that going. Huge thanks to all of our partners for getting involved on the summit. Intuit QuickBooks, namely, for being our major partner for the event, and then followed by all the other brands that have got involved. Recommend you check them out and thank them for helping bring this together. There was 27 sessions and over 30 speakers. It's around 27 hours worth of content. Like, it's a lot. It's a lot of work, and we hope you're enjoying all of it. And again, just a big thank you to our brands for helping us bring this together. We also had over 1,200 of you dialing in, check out all the content yesterday as well, which was even crazier. So for those that are here today, well done. You've all jumped in and participated. Thanks, Alison and Kerry, for jumping in the chat there and let me know that it's all good and a-okay. Glad to hear it is all working. Now, this session is an interesting one. So Matt Wilkinson is a good friend. Matt and I actually go way back. I always go back to the original eWay webinar we did way back when. That would have been over 12 years ago. We were both much younger and skinnier and healthier back then as well, I would say. But Matt, I'll let you introduce yourself and give everyone your bio. But we're talking about growth is good, even if you don't want more clients. And Matt, I'll start by just introducing you and maybe just having a quick chat. But how are you, and what's new in your world, Matt? What's going on for you at the moment?
Thanks, Trent. Yeah, I'm just back from trip to the UK, seeing the family. Not been back there in over 5 years. So actually left in 33-degree heat from Heathrow Airport. So that was not usual. They say the weather is wonderful in the UK, but it's pretty good. Back to rain and snow where I am in the South Island in New Zealand. So interested where everyone else is dialing in from. And if you're coming across the ditch for a skiing holiday, good news is it's snowing in the mountains today, so it should be good. But it's pretty grim where I'm looking out my window right now. But yeah, I probably if anyone knows me, they would know me from Biz Inc., a company that I founded in 2012, way back when we would have done that webinar, that kind of time frame. Hey, Trent, and I exited that business in March this year, the end of March. And I have just set up a new company called Belay, and tell you a little bit more about that later. But yeah, looking forward to everyone to talk about this topic. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to getting into it.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Very good. Well, thanks for being here. And if you've got questions for Matt, throw them into the chat and we will try to answer and ask them of him um, through the course of this session. But otherwise, Matt, I'm going to hand over to you. I'm going to let you share your screen
Cool.
and you just give me a yell as we discussed and we'll get those things in motion.
Pretty good. Yeah, let me know if that isn't working. But
All good.
so growth, I think, has become a bit of a bad word, right? Like the kind of growth at all costs mentality, it's had a bit of a working over in the press. But my goal today is to show that growth can be good. The name is the Growth Club Summit, so hopefully you'll agree with me, but I'm going to check back at the end to see if that's the case. So an alternative name for my talk could be that not growth, but marketing is good, even if you don't want more clients. I've been working with accountants and bookkeepers for over 15 years now, and few do enough marketing. Today, I want to show you how marketing can help you increase the size of your client base, the quality of your client base. If you don't want to grow your client numbers, you can increase the quality of your clients. You can make your clients happier, improve your team, grow your team, and even make your firm more valuable and saleable. So, talked to a lot of firms about marketing over the years, and these are some of the reasons that people have given me for not why they don't do marketing. So, we don't get we get enough work from referrals, don't have enough time. That's got to be the most common one that I've heard. Marketing doesn't work for accountants. Work capacity, can't stand marketing, don't know where to start. We've wasted money with an agency in the past. So some of these are valid excuses. Some of them are, and some of them are just plain wrong. But I've looked under the hood of some of the most successful firms in Australia, and invariably they do marketing well. Maybe not all aspects of that, but they've usually got a really strong brand underpinning it, and then a system for winning new clients, selling more to their existing clients, and attracting top tier talent. So in other words, they grow, that they focus on growth. And that's what we're going to talk about today is the why and how of growth, specifically for areas. So growing your client base, growing loyalty and value within your existing clients, growing your brand, and then growing your team. So a little bit about me. I've been helping accountants with marketing for 15 years. In that time, worked with over 1,500 firms. As I mentioned earlier, I founded Biz Inc. in 2012, exited that business earlier this year, and I've just launched my new consultancy business, Belay, just in March. Apologies, that should have been this slide. So I got a question for everyone here, right? Like what's a belay? Because I called the business that and I thought, oh, people will know what that is. Does anyone know what a belay is? You can put that in the chat and the clue is in the clue is in the photograph there. So that's a picture of me in a place near Milford Sound in New Zealand doing a bit of rock climbing. Um, and what a belay is it's like the person holding the rope and rock climbing. So I'm slightly concerned I've chosen chosen a brand which people don't know the name. Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing, but that's what a belay is that kind of device that you put the rope through to keep someone safe. I just like rock climbing, so I like the name. Okay, so I've got a little poll going to run. I'm interested to know how much client base growth you would like in the next 12 months. So it's pretty unscientific answers of, high growth, medium growth, low growth, static or net negative growth. You actually want to lose clients. So whatever that means to you, just put that in. I'm interested to know how much you'd like to grow your client base in the next 12 months, or even if you don't want to grow it, or actually you want to attract a little bit. So, Trent, if you could just run that poll, that would be awesome. And we'll see what people are thinking around those things.
That is running right now.
Thanks, mate.
How much client-based growth would you like in the next 12 months? And it's a mixture of high growth, medium, low, static, or negative. Feel like I'm watching a horse race. It's I would say 42% of people are in the medium growth bucket,
Mhm.
45% are in the low growth bucket, and there's about 15% in the high growth bucket.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Um, I think one of the things that I've heard, especially over the last couple of years, is we don't want to grow. We can't even hire. So it's interesting to hear those numbers. I see them on screen now. So it looks like everyone does want to grow. That makes sense, coming to a summit like this. But nearly half is low growth. So I think what I want to talk about in terms of like using it or losing it is like anyone who's ever done any training, weight training or any form of training like that, you know that as soon as you stop, you lose it much faster than it took to build it, right? And it's the same with marketing in a firm. The flywheel takes a lot of time to get moving, but it will stop really quickly if you neglect it. So my take is you should be trying to grow client numbers even if you don't want to grow. And that sounds nonsensical, but I'll explain what I mean by that in just a minute. And so this talk is really about growing your marketing function so it can deliver the things that you need when you need them. And I think when we talk about marketing, the first thing people normally think of is about new client growth. So that's why I wanted to start there. Thanks for sharing those answers. And we'll move on from there. So why do you want to grow your client base? The first reason I think is that inaction equals retraction. If you do nothing, you don't stay still, you go backwards. You're always going to lose clients, right? For a number of reasons. They're not bad reasons. Things happen, right? People grow, outgrow you, you outgrow them. People just, they go out of business, they decide to stop. There's loads of reasons why you lose clients. At Biz Inc, we had a couple of clients die, real tragic thing, but that happens, right? So there's lots of reasons why you lose clients. Now, some people say, oh, we'll replace those referrals, and maybe you will, maybe you won't. I found that to be true up to firms when they get to about 750K to a million revenue, that kind of stops working as well as it did. It depends, specialized firms can go a bit further, but I think it starts to get hard to backfill churn if you don't have a marketing system in place. And then the other thing I'd say is that referrals can't be relied on in terms of timing or the quality of referrals as well. So some of the best firms have a system that delivers consistent stream of ideal clients. And the last part is key, that focus on ideal clients. Um, why I would always be trying to grow client numbers is you can add A-class clients and sack C-class clients. No firm has all A-class clients, right? Or, very, very few. So even if you're not trying to necessarily grow your client numbers, your growth can be growing the quality of your client base by adding good new ones. And I think that someone said that Kerry said that in the comments, low and overall number in terms of growth, but happy to swap out some clients. So I think that's probably what you're referring to there. So that for me is the reason why you should be doing like growth marketing in terms of adding clients all the time, because you can do that swapping out and over time increasing the quality of your client base. So how do you do that? Well, two-thirds of firms don't have a marketing plan. I've done that research number of times over the years. Always comes out the same. Two-thirds of firms don't have a plan, and if you don't, you're probably not going to be adding the right type of leads into your firm, the right type of new clients. So where to start for me would be having a plan focused on defining who your ideal client is. Um, Define their characteristics, like what are their pain points, what industry are they in, where do they hang out, and then you can start building a plan to reach those people. Marketing to everybody is marketing to nobody, so like being really focused on an ideal client to me is that's always the starting point. When you have that in place, consistency would be the next thing. So something small done every week is going to beat something like, big bang followed by nothing. Professional services marketing is a long game, right? Like you all know that. And so being consistent over time, that's a massive factor in success. In terms of some tactics, that I would focus on, probably like I like to talk about inside out marketing. So starting on the inside, the warmest kind of things that you've got and working outside. So what's the warmest thing you've got is probably your existing clients. Um, who in your existing clients is an ideal client? Ask them for referrals to people similar to them. So did a webinar actually with you, Trent, and Natalie Lennon late last year. She talked about intentional referrals, and that's what I would describe that as. I think that's a really good way to describe that. Coming out from that, and so that inside out kind of model, I'd be looking at who's your strategic partners who can put you in front of ideal clients, the lawyers, the brokers, the bankers who you could talk to try and build that network. These are all, as old as the hills, these things, but they all work. In terms of kind of more specific marketing type tactics, I'd be looking at building a list. I mean, anyone who's listened to my stuff, I'll always talk about email marketing because it's really underrated. And the best time to build a list would have been 5 years ago. The next best time is now. So start building that list of prospects who you can send newsletters to engage them, and then send EDMs to start trying to convert them. Other things I'll be looking at, events, in-person stuff. Your marketing's becoming quite impersonal with like algorithms and AI and all those kind of things. Events are mainstay of professional services marketing. They always will be because it's a relationships business, and they work. So you could attend events as a delegate. You could speak at them if you can do that, or run your own events. Social media, how I would be doing social media for growth marketing at a minimum would be like, once you've defined your ideal client profile, connecting with 10 people who fit that profile every day, say on LinkedIn, and then engaging with them. You don't need to necessarily be like posting every day like some people would tell you. Just start off like commenting on their post, on people who influence them, and then maybe start to post later. So there's some of the ways I get started trying to grow the client base. Sometimes I get asked the question, "Oh, what if it works so well that we get super busy?" Now, number one, it probably won't work as well as you think. Number two, that's a great problem to have, but there's a simple solution to it, and that's a wait list. Some of the really best firms have a wait list, right? So they're always trying to grow, but they're always very intentional about the capacity that they've got. So they hit that capacity and they start building a wait list. And how good would that to be to have like A-class clients on tap when you need them? I'm going to run another quick poll as we move on to the next section. So I ask this question a lot when I'm speaking. Do your clients know every way that you can help them? Yes, no, or not sure. Um, so I ask this one a lot. I'll probably guess what people are going to say. But let's run it anyway and have a look.
What do you think it's going to say, man?
Oh, I'm almost certain not many people are going to put yes. I mean, I'm trying to remember the last time I did it. I think it was at the Intuit Get Connected conference last year in Sydney, and no one put their hand up in the audience, and there was a good audience I was talking to, but we will see.
Yeah, we will. And the winner is.
No, no, I'm not sure. I reckon not yours, no, by the way. So, and often when I ask people, I'm like, oh, how do they know? If they say yes, I'm like, how do they know? And oh, I told them when they got onboarded. Like people forget what you told them yesterday, right? So unless you're telling your clients this stuff on a regular basis, they ain't gonna remember. That they're just not. And so I think this is if you take one thing away from this talk today, it's to go away and talk to your clients about all the ways that you can help them. So I haven't said sell to or market yet, even though that's what sort of getting to. They want your help, and I honestly believe that a lot of firms are leaving like 20+% revenue on the table by not doing upselling and cross-selling to their existing clients. So why do it, right? Like first of all, you can grow revenue without adding new clients. So yeah, if we don't want to grow size, but we still want to grow revenue, you've got to sell to your existing clients, right? And that revenue is likely to be more profitable than new client revenue because there's no customer acquisition cost, and it's just going to be easier to service those existing clients. It's just going to be more efficient, certainly at the start. Um, but kind of more importantly, clients want your help. They want to buy things off you if it helps them. And happier clients, the clients you're doing more for, they're going to be happier. Research has shown that, and they're likely to be stickier as well. And the upside of that, more referrals as well. So I think of all of these things I want to talk about today, this is the one which it's a no-brainer to me. Is most firms don't talk to their clients enough about all the ways that they can help them, and the good news is it's not that hard to do it, right? You know, the theme that I would be looking at with that is to educate and entertain your clients. So, knowledge is great. We want to be sharing like knowledge, we want to call that like thought leadership content or whatever. But I think you've also got to remember to entertain people. Like knowledge is a bit kind of 10 a penny now, but doing it in a way that's interesting and fun and unique to your style is really important. Um, and how to do that, I think, look, there's lots of different ways, but I've talked about email marketing already. I think it's the most effective and underrated marketing tool at your disposal. Only a third of firms send marketing emails consistently, but they're probably going to get like, you probably get 40, 50 plus percent open rate. I've done this research, and we used to send millions of emails for firms every year through the Bizzing platform. The average open rate was consistently about 15% higher than the top performing category in the MailChimp email benchmarks. And sticking with MailChimp, you can use that for free up to a certain amount of contacts. So the cost for sending emails is like literally nothing if you don't include your time, or low cost with other platforms, and the ROI is massive because you think if you upsell something to one client, you've probably paid for your email subscription for the year. So what I'd be doing there would be sending an email newsletter every month, and then targeted EDMs. So like filtering your client list and send them specific offers around the things that are going to be able to help them. Meetings, you obviously having meetings with clients. Feedback I often get is like, I don't like being salesy in meetings. Well, the way to not be salesy is actually to do some sales training. I really think that a lot of accountants would, probably shy away from doing sales training, but it'd be a massive help. Modern sales training is like the opposite of being salesy. You get good at selling and you'll do it naturally, and it will be very much not a salesy kind of thing. And then you help client. I mean, another way to frame selling is it's not selling, it's helping people to buy. People don't like being sold to, people love buying. So if you can help clients buy the things that they need, everyone wins. Other ways to get in front of clients, obviously like client events, tried and tested tactic. It works. Could also be webinars like this. And final thing would be like adding clients on social media. So this is like something that could be done in onboarding. Ask clients to follow you on LinkedIn or Instagram, wherever your preferred platform is. I think probably LinkedIn for most people. And then they're going to see you posting, commenting, adding value, not necessarily directly with them, but it keeps you top of mind. So there's other things you can do, but I think there are some pretty straightforward tactics that you can use to grow that client loyalty and value over time. So I'm going to talk about brand next. How do we grow a brand? What even is a brand? It's kind of intangible. My definition is a brand is what people say when you're not in the room. So it's hard to define what exactly is a good, bad, or indifferent brand. It's kind of a bit like wine, right? Like none of us here well, maybe you are, but I'm certainly not an expert sommelier. I don't know that much about wine, but I can definitely tell bad wine from kind of average, reasonable wine. And when I have a really good wine, I can say why. I can say what that is. I do want to why it's this grape or this vintage or this soil or whatever. I don't know those things, but I think it's very similar with brands, right? We all can say that's a kind of really bad brand. That's pretty good, and man, that's amazing. And I'm sure everyone on the call here and could like name two or three really amazing accounting brands. Might not be able to say why they're amazing, but we know they stand out. And those firms you'd be kind of picturing right now, they've got there by consistently growing their brand through stuff like investing in design and collateral, the traditional kind of ways we think about brand, but also maybe developing a great website, partnerships, strategic relationships, thought leadership, content, and speaking and that kind of thing. So, what's the ROI of a brand? Impossible to say exactly what that is, but not everything that matters can be measured. And brand is really the foundation of your growth, of your marketing, of your whole firm in many ways. So why grow your brand and we'll talk about how to do that in a minute. I mean, 10 years ago, what was a brand in accounting? A name, a logo, some marketing assets, and not much more than that, really, for most firms. Now we're expected to have a digital footprint across social media, across Google reviews, all kinds of things. So it's got a lot bigger. But the last 2 to 3 years, I think, have seen a massive rise in personal brands, accountants having personal brands. I personally think that's like the biggest change in marketing that's happened in professional services in the last few years. Um, And there's a bit, you'll be able to again picture some accountants who've got really strong personal brands. And I think some important differences between your firm's brand, your personal brand, and how they work together. Um, Obviously, we're all in the relationships business, and so personal brand, I think, is really important, and it fits really well with what you all do. Um, Personal brand is somewhat connected to the firm brand, but it can also be something that's separate and can move, right? So I imagine most of you kind of like owners of firms, if you're an employee, your personal brand can move with you, right? And there's certain accountants I know who've got better jobs through having a really strong personal brand that they've taken with them. And that might be challenging, if you hire somebody like that they've got that and it's not necessarily aligning with your brand. The personal and the firm brand don't necessarily have to align. I mean, I think they can complement each other. It's not always about control, but it's important to recognize how both are different, and grow both as well. Reasons to do it, which kind of overlap both, like PR opportunities. Getting invited to speak at business events could be local, could be national. Getting featured in the local paper, getting promoted by a vendor in a case study. All things that happen through having a strong brand, whether it's personal or the firm. Um, I think the saleability of your firm is one to consider there. So I've talked to a few brokers and they really like it when a firm has a strong brand, particularly that's away from the individuals in the firms, like a generic kind of marketing name can help there. But a strong brand can really help both make a firm more saleable and potentially the multiple as well if it's a really strong brand. And a final one that's kind of hard to measure again is making your team proud. It's hard to measure, but it's really powerful. And I've seen it firsthand where firms have got a new website that we built when I was at BizInc. I've worked on some branding projects with firms. And what came out, this is like, we loved it, but what we really surprised us was, the team were super proud about it, really happy to see that you got really good feedback about that. And I'm sure that's, yeah, like I say, it's hard to measure, but definitely an important reason why you invest in brand. So some quick wins in terms of how to grow your brand. I'm going to split this into personal and firm brand. With the personal brand, I'd kind of do both the first two at the same time, which would be like getting a photo shoot done and optimizing social profiles. So having some really good like headshots and what do you call them? They're kind of like posed photographs, can be really useful to use on, not just your socials, but also marketing collateral as well. Optimizing your social profiles. So you've got current images, so you've got nice, consistent colors, well-written profiles, they're up to date. That already helps your personal brand. Really easy to do with a tool like Canva right these days. Um, with that done, I think moving on to doing like thought leadership content. So that could be, it could be writing blogs, it could be trying to get speaking gigs, being a webinar or podcast guest, um, working with vendors. Like I've seen some accountants do this really well, where they have really tight relationships with vendors that they work with. They get profiled, they get invited to speak. Um, all really good ways to raise your personal brand with your firm's brand. I think one really good way to start, like my definition of brand, it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. Ask clients for feedback. You could get one of your team members to do that, like maybe a marketing agency or someone to do that, so it's kind of third hand. But what do clients think about your brand? How do they perceive it? And then based on that, do some of the same things they just talked about, optimizing social profiles, um, photo shoots are not just personal photographs, but of the team. One thing I love is like client case study photographs, that kind of thing. Um, have a look at your brand, get your brand into Canva. So it's canva.com, isn't it? Like I'm sure most people have had a look at Canva before. It's a tool for creating like it's basically design assets, and you don't need any design skills to do it. So you can get create a brand kit in Canva where you've got your fonts, your colors, and with all of that in there, it's really easy to create consistent marketing assets. Last two on my list is website and brand refresh. Um, I put them here because probably most of the people, if you talk about growing your brand, they would think doing a rebrand, and I'd almost put that right at the bottom because I've seen that being used as a reason to procrastinate about marketing more than anything else. So it's like I think do the other things and then get the don't put a brand refresh in the way of doing everything else, I guess is what I'm trying to say. And likewise with the website, website's ever evolving, so tinker away at it. There's lots you can do without having to redo the whole website, but ultimately they are two big things that you can do to dramatically change how your brand is perceived. Final area of growth I want to talk about is growing your team. So interested to know, as final poll I'm going to do is, are you looking to hire in the next 12 months? Yes, no, or not sure. No, it's kind of been like a big talking point in the last few years of the kind of like hiring, well, I don't like using the word crisis, but the hiring like talent shortage or whatever. So let's have a look. Alison wants to be a bookkeeper, not a people manager. Yeah,
Fair.
fair enough.
40% of people are saying no,
Okay.
29% are unsure,
Yeah.
25% said yes.
Okay. So fairly spread out. Um, fairly spread out. I think, and I put this one last because I think it's probably the one people least think about. But like when we think about marketing, we think like new clients, like brands, selling to clients. But if you are trying to hire, then you are marketing to your marketing and your selling, right? You got to get the role out there, and you got to convince people to work with you. And the first thing, if you posted a job ad, right, and you're getting potential hires coming onto your have a look at that. What are they going to do, right? Some due diligence, check out your website, check out your socials. Is this a place that I'd like to work? So I think if you're trying to attract top talent, then you've really got to look at what message your website, your digital footprint is sending out. So the brand stuff we've just been talking about, I think this translates a lot here. there's a few extra things I would do if I was trying to grow my team. I'd really invest in that like brand and digital footprint as discussed. But I would specifically create a really amazing team and careers page or pages on the website. Um, they're places they're going to get looked at. The team page is actually the second most viewed page after the homepage on almost every accountant's website. So I looked after hundreds of websites over the last few years. And that always came out that people looks at that page. So some of that will be clients and potential clients, but it's also people who are looking for jobs as well. The best careers pages I've seen have things like a video on them of what it's like working in the firm. They will show the benefits, employee testimonials. I've seen that on the really best pages. Really amazing application form. So if the application form is super clunky, that does send out a message. Um, so I think that those things are super important as well. And even if you're not currently hiring, obviously there's a good chunk of people there who are not intending to hire in the next 12 months. What about having a wait list, just like we talked about for new clients? If you can display, what a great firm you are to work with, then potentially you can be grabbing people's CVs, storing those for when you are trying to hire. So pulling it all together. Um, Growth, it's not just about adding more clients. You should be growing your brand. That's the perception of your firm. And it's also the foundation for adding more clients, so growing your client base, or improving the quality of that client base. So even if you don't want to grow numbers, that like swapping out, like Kerry said earlier, I think that's really important. You're always moving towards your A-class clients and getting rid of some of those lower quality clients. Um, Growth is also helping clients with more services, like they want more help, and that's going to grow your revenue. It's going to grow your retention as well. And growth is also like potentially expanding your team, right? So if you're winning all of that work and you've got a really good system for doing that that's consistent, it makes it a lot easier decision to hire with confidence. So that takes care of the execution part. Um, and that's really underpinned by a really strong marketing function. It is something that I think doesn't come naturally to a lot of accountants and bookies. Not that it wouldn't come naturally to them, but not trained in it. It isn't part of like day-to-day work. But I think it can deliver a lot of those values, which give that kind of good growth that I've been talking about. So getting that flywheel spinning and keeping it going. So hopefully that kind of growth sounds good. Um, I'm happy to stick around for any questions now. If you'd like to get in touch with me, my email address is on there. I can drop it on into the chat. hello@belayco.com, and happy to connect with anyone else on LinkedIn as well. It's probably where I'm most active. Not in the last little while, having a little bit of a sabbatical, but would love to connect. But yeah, if you've
Good.
got any questions, fire them into the chat
Yeah.
Q&A,
I'll
and
we'll pause here and see if anyone has any questions. My key question probably is while everyone's thinking about questions, what's the you've gone over a lot of stuff and a lot of people here I'd suggest just from some of the comments. I'm a bookkeeper, I'm not a marketer.
Mhm.
Um, is there a point where you decide, hey, I should spend the money on like a freelancer or someone to help me with my stuff? Or is there a point of things you think, no, these are the things you can go and do? Like it's really hard to do all things, right? Like not
Yeah,
everyone feels
yeah,
comfortable
yeah.
doing that stuff. So yeah,
So
any sort of key bits of advice on this is where you should start or what you should be weighing up, like whether it's a
yeah.
you to do or something to give to someone else?
I think that the key thing is the plan. And when I say a plan, it's not some like Word document you've got to type out, but just to go, if I want to grow, um, I want to add more ideal clients, right? And defining that profile, just like you would do if you're working with like apps and that, right, Trent? Like it's like really honing in on, I'm using jargon now, but ICP, so like ideal client profile or persona, like that is at the center of marketing. So I think defining that, and you're never done with it, right? Like it's, start here and keep refining that over time. I think that can answer a lot of your questions because if you know who you're selling to, then you can also understand their pain points and challenges. So you know who, then you know what you're going to say to them. You might know when because there might be some seasonality to them, but the really important part is you'll know where to do it because you'll know the platforms they're on. You'll know, the maybe like real world locations they're at. It just answers a lot of questions. So I think that rather than dive into a bunch of specific stuff, I think that gives the most clarity is like it's just like working on that piece of saying that this is who we want more of. Um, and here's all the kind of the questions that answers.
Awesome. Great answer. Um, cool. Okay. Well, there hasn't been any other questions coming through, so I'm assuming you've answered everything for everyone, and that's why. But if anybody wants to get in touch, you can do that through bits on the screen. We've recorded the session, so if you want to play back after, that's cool as well. We are going to start to wrap the session. We're going to give you all a bit of a break. Next session starts at 12 p.m., which is 20 minutes or so away. To Matt, thank you so much. So for everyone that's here, if you can just give Matt a bit of a round of applause, click the emojis, say thank you for his time, and hopefully you've learned something from that. Feel free to tell us what you took away from this session as well. Um, Matt, I always enjoy catching up, and it's always good to hear and good to see you back in the mix of things, mate. I know you've had a bit of a break there, which is good. Our next session at 12, for those interested, is a story about growth and scaling. So, the story is with Martin Brennan. Martin Brennan. He runs a firm over in the UK. We called up with Martin to have this conversation, and it just talks about what does it really take to scale a modern sort of bookkeeping and or accounting firm. And his story over, I can't remember the number of years, but it's 0 to 35 employees over a period of time. I think it was like 3 to 4 years. So it was very fast growth. Um, it'll be a great session. Martin's a great speaker. Jordan Vickery is interviewing him as well. I'd recommend checking that out if you're interested in that. And that's coming up in about 17 minutes or so time. So awesome. I'm going to help wrap and end this session here. Thank you in the chat for thanking Matt. And I'll keep Growth Club continues. We'll see you all very, very soon. Thanks so much. Thank you, Matt.
Thanks, mate. Thanks everyone coming. Take care.